Hey, all my little sweetie ferrets, how's it going? Okay, so lately you've probably noticed that Tim Hortons was making the waves. Okay, so um, people are saying quality's gone downhill. It's just not like it used to be and no longer a Canadian thing. And you might have noticed also, almost every store you go to, there's always migrants working there. It's like, what the hell's going on? Well, you might think, well, they're all coming to Canada and they need a job, but they're not so fast. What happens is, here's one of the problems. Uh, what happened with the quality and everything else, and the reason everything went kind of downhill is because this big major corporation called 3G Capital became the parent company of Tim Hortons, as well as a lot of other franchises. Okay, now this company couldn't give two granulated shits about anything else but the bottom line. So it made difficulties for some of the store, well, a lot of the store owners, see, especially financial difficulties by the way things are going. Okay, so do you cut back on labor? Well, that's an expense. No, that's bad for the customer experience, and it might exacerbate the existing premise about everything is going downhill. And there you go. So, ah, hire migrants, but why? What happens is there's a third party that gets them into the country, makes all these promises. Okay, they're just lies. Okay, and then they become like an endless supply of labor to the store owners that are trying to cut back on a lot of things. So the store owners, what a lot of them do is, not all of them, but quite a few of them have been doing this lately. They take these migrants and hire them, knowing that they don't know our labor laws. Okay, so they take advantage of that, and then they come up with lies for why they don't have to pay a minimum wage or the full amount. Okay, the full minimum wage amount. And they're not entitled to that or that or that. Okay, they're telling them all these lies, taking advantage that they don't know our labor laws. So that's one of the reasons why you're seeing a lot of migrants working in a lot of these Tim Hortons now. Now, you know what? Tim Hortons has never been the most fam-schmabulous place to work. I got my own little story. Okay, the last time I worked for the company was, I think, quite a while ago in the early 2000s. So it's been quite a while. Now, let's see. I was, the last store I worked at was down in southern Ontario. And at that time is when they introduced the new frozen donut shit. Okay. Now, they said, okay, and they said, oh, and I said, let me get this straight. I gotta get up at stupid o'clock in the morning because they said start time is now 4 in the morning. Usually I'm just getting close to winding down my shift around that time. So I never could acclimate to that. And also, one thing I noticed was that I looked around and thought I'm the only one left. It's like a lot of other production staff, they quit. Maybe they saw the writing on the wall, didn't like this idea of the new frozen donut thing. I don't know. It just seems like, especially with donut bakers, right? I was the only one left. And also a lot of, yeah, pretty much all the production staff quit. And I stuck it out. I went with the flow and thought, okay, well, I needed the job, so I stayed, and it seemed like I was the only one that stayed. So I don't know what happened there, but anyways, so they sat us down in introductory video, and it shows a person, taking the box out of the freezer and putting donuts in this magic oven, push a couple of buttons, and 2 minutes later, there you go, you got donuts. Zero skills involved, meaning you could take anybody off the street, give them 10 minutes training, and you now have a baker. I wouldn't call him baker, but But here's the thing about making donuts the old way. Okay, I did it for quite a while, and I probably could have rewrote the book on donut. Not only that, donut bakers made much more than minimum wage. Okay, see, it's a labor intensive job. There's a lot of multitasking going on, and it takes some form of skill. Okay, so yeah, donut bakers got paid more than minimum wage. So we have another problem, okay? With this new frozen donut method, what happened was because a factory is making the donuts, okay, so someone else is making the donuts. So I'm pretty sure what happened was the cost price for the product went up, but the store owner was not allowed to up the retail price to compensate. So a lot of store owners were losing money because of this. I don't know how much, but basically it all adds up. Okay? And I heard something about a class action lawsuit went on and with some of the store owners, and I don't know what the outcome was, but um, but the one place I worked at, they had more than one store. Now, anyways, okay, so I knew that some of their stores were hemorrhaging money. Okay, and the other problem we have is the cost price has gone up. So yeah, hmm, got a bit of a financial situation going on here. And here's me, the only one left that's still making the higher wage than like what the old donut bakers were. I'm making more than minimum wage. And I was just saying how it takes zero skill to do this job. So, and also they took some of the counter staff and said, "You're now production staff." Maybe they gave them a slight bit of a raise, but not, we weren't making what I was making. So here I am, the only one who's making a lot more than minimum wage the old way, while they're financially having trouble here. So they're not, I doubt if they're going to walk up to me and say, "Oh, um, yeah, by the way, we're having some financial problems. Could you, maybe quit your job, save us a bundle?" No, they're not going to say that. So, you know, I think they were trying to make life as difficult as possible for me. Okay, because I noticed that, you know, I come in to start, and you're limited on how much you can put on the shelves. There are like maybe three of those. There was also I had to do like also muffins and bagels and everything else, and so maybe only three of those muffins or six of those donuts or maybe a dozen of those. And I think they were taking advantage of the fact that, see, because it only takes about at the most 15 minutes from freezer to shelf, that way they can, uh, live up to the slogan, always fresh. And the customer will find that donuts are always fresh here. But at my expense, because when the morning crowd comes in, the shelves get cleaned out. Okay. And then, you know, it's almost impossible to keep up. Okay. So, the manager would come in and say, "Oh, you can't have any blank spots on the shelves." And I explain to them why. And they just make up excuses. Okay. And this goes on and on. Okay. They just keep making up excuses instead of coming up with the resolve. So it's as if they wanted me to, you know, as if they wanted to just keep up with this, making it as difficult as possible for me. And it became the most thankless job I have ever worked. Okay. Never any compliment about anything, just always looking for what's wrong to make sure everything's right. Okay, so yeah, it became one of the most thankless jobs I ever worked. And I looked at other production staff, the ones that would take counter staff and make them into production staff. Well, they weren't getting on their backs. It seemed like I was the only one with a target on his back. Geez, I wonder why. Yeah. So eventually they fired me because it was pretty damn hard to keep up with, like start time being 4 in the morning when you've been working night shift all these years. So after a while, I thought, that bastard set me up for failure. They set me up for failure. That's what they did. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. Maybe that one store owner is listening right now. Yeah. If you are, you know what? You're a piece of shit.